Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. So, my friends at Yarnspirations.com. Today we're going to do the small pumpkin that you see here. And now this is going to be using Bernat Felted yarn. And you can see the coloring that you'll see. And there's lots of great colors in this particular brand. You'll use a 6mm size J crochet hook in order to play. I have already done the large one on camera already. They're really quite easy to make. And we're going to be doing the small version today. So let's begin and let's start this process. In case you need it, there's a crochet diagram available on page 4, and we'll be doing the small pumpkin today. The large pumpkin is also there as well. Let's begin to do this pumpkin. Okay, let's begin, and we're going to create a slip knot, and we will start by chaining 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch to the beginning chain. Yarn over, pull through and through to create the center ring. And when you do round number 1, just put this loose end around the ring to capture it underneath. Let's move on to round number 1. Round number 1, we're going to chain 2. You'll notice in this pattern that chain 2 never counts as a stitch. It's just a builder. And we want to do 8 half double crochets into the center of the ring. So we'll count these out together. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And once you're around, you'll slip stitch it to the top of the first half double crochet. It may be hard to see on camera, but it's much easier in person. So you just slip stitch to the first half and begin that process for number 2. If you went over top of the straggler like I did, just safely cut it. It will be on the inside of the pump, or it'll be on the pumpkin as well. So just trim that nice and low, and you're going to begin round number 2. Round number 2, just chain 2, and in each of the 8 stitches, you're going to apply 2 half double crochets. Okay, so once you get the first 2 in there in the first one, just jump to your next one and put 2 half double crochets in every stitch around, and you'll have a total count of 16 half double crochets for this version. And I'll see you at the end of the round in just a moment. Once you have all 8 done, slip stitch it to the first half double crochet, and let's move on to round number 3. For me personally, I've already done the first pumpkin in tutorial format, so this one feels a lot easier because I understand the pattern a lot better. So you may find that with these particular patterns, once you go through it the first time, it's easier and probably faster the more you do it. So you're going to begin, and you're just going to chain 2, and you're going to apply a puff stitch in the top of the first one that has the join. So yarn over and going into the stitch, pull through, and you'll do that 3 times. So yarn over, and be a little bit relaxed with this because a puff stitch can be tight. So you're going to do it 3 times, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through everything, and then you need to chain 1 to lock it. Okay, so use your fingers and pull things apart if you don't see it. So the next stitch is going to be a single crochet, and then you're going to puff stitch in the next one. So yarn over and in, pull through, pull through all 3, chain 1 to lock it, and then slip stitch into the next stitch. Please do this all the way around for round number 3. So the single crochet is the last stitch for this round, and then I'm just going to slip stitch it to the top of the first puff. Now normally in crochet, if you've ever followed me, you always know that I just kind of flip it like this, and I always just go around because this is the good side. The puff stitch always favors the back of it, so technically the wrong side. So throughout this whole project, I'm going to crochet in this format, going around and following it so that the puff stitch stays stays on the outside and is technically the wrong side of the work. Let's move on to round number 4. Round number 4, chain 2, and in the top of the puff stitch, you are going to apply another puff stitch. So pull through everything and chain 1 to lock it, and then apply another puff stitch in the exact same spot. So you're causing an increase to happen. Pull through everything, chain 1 to lock, and then apply a single into the next single. So in the next puff stitch, you're going to put in a puff stitch and then another puff stitch, and then you'll single into the next single, and you'll do that all the way around for round number 4. Coming around on number 4, single crochet is the last one, and then you're just going to join it to the first puff stitch before beginning round number 5. Okay, let's do that in a second. Let's begin round number 5. Chain 2 and put in a puff stitch in the top of the first puff. Take your time, chain 1, and what you have to do is that the 2 puffs are beside each other, so we have 1 and 2, and there's a space in between them. Single crochet into that space and then apply a puff into the second puff stitch here. So you're going to notice that the tops of the puff stitches are always off to the side, and that's what's giving it the spiral look. Because of that, it's the stitch that's causing that. Chain 1 to lock it, and then the single crochet is next, so single crochet. So what you're going to do is you're going to puff into the next puff, you're going to single into the next space between the puffs, you're going to puff in the next puff, and then single into the next single. And you'll do that all the way around for round number 5. So I'm coming around on number 5, and I'm just going to single into the last single, and then I'm just going to slip stitch to the top of the first puff stitch. So round number 6 is going to be a nice easy round, and you'll have to repeat that 3 more times after it gets done the first time, and let's move on to the 6th round. So let's begin number 6. You're going to chain 2, the growth is now finished, and you will puff stitch in the top of the first puff. Okay, chain 1 to lock it, and then you're going to single into the next single that you have. Okay, so then you have the next puff stitch, so you'll puff into the puff and single into the next single. So I need you to do that all the way around for round number 6, and I'll be right back in a moment. So coming up to the end of round number 6, just single crochet in the last single, just slip stitch to the top of the first puff stitch. So what we need to do, 7, 8, and 9 are all the same. So you're just going to start again, just chain up 2 and puff into the puff, singles into the singles, and do that all the way around for those 3 rounds. And I'll see you as we kick off round number 10 in just a moment. So please do these 3 rounds next. Let's begin round number 10. You're going to chain 2 and you're going to puff into the top of the first puff. Chain 1 to lock it. You're going to skip the next single and just puff into the next puff. Chain 1 to lock it, and then you're going to single into the next single. So how you'll do this round is that you'll puff into the next puff, you'll skip the single and puff into the next puff, and then single into the next single. So please do this all the way around for this round number 10. So I'm coming around and I have a single into the last single, and then I'm just going to slip stitch to the first puff. And we're moving on to round number 11. And before you start round number 11, we have to get into the space between the puffs. So just slip stitch on over, and then you're ready to begin number 11. Begin number 11, you're just going to chain 2 and put a puff into the space between the 2 puffs. And then you are going to reach over and you were going to single crochet into the next single. So then reaching on over, see the 2 puffs, see the space in between, you're going to puff in between. Chain 1 to lock, don't forget, and then single into the next single. And you're going to do that all the way around for number 11. Coming up to the end of number 11, you're going to single into the last single and then just join it to the first puff. Okay, and let's begin number 12. Just chain up 1 and you'll apply 1 single crochet in the top of the first puff and then 1 single crochet in the next single crochet. And you're going to do that all the way around. So single into the next puff and then a single into the next single. Do this around for number 12. So I'm coming around and I'm just going to slip stitch to the first single crochet. So we have one more round to go, but before we do, we need to get our polyfill and we need to stuff the inside. As you stuff the inside, it will take its shape, but don't overstuff it to the point where the stuffing wants to pop out between the stitches. So just grab your polyfill and just place it on the inside and form its shape now. I'll be right back. Once you have enough stuffing in there, you can always decide to take out a bit in after the next round, but it's better to have more in it than it is to have less. So the very last round here, number 13, is just chain up 1, and you are going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. So just going into the next one and next one and pull through all 3. So single crochet 2 together all the way around, and then we're going to slip stitch it, and then we'll continue with shaping this in just a moment. So I'm coming around and just slip stitching. So we still have an open hole, but what we need to do is just create an extra long tail here, and we're going to use that to pull the hole closed, but we're also going to make it squat even further. So just pull it up. So if you need more stuffing, now's the time to add it before you go too far. And if you think it's overstuffed, take out some. Just reach in and just. So just going in, you want to just use your tapestry needle and go all the way around the top. And what we're going to do is at the end of this rotation, we're going to pull it shut. Okay, so let's pull that and it should shut it, and it does. And then what I want to do is take it down through the center and pop it to the other side and just come out the bottom section there. And what I'm doing is that I'm just putting a straight line down, and then I'm going to go back up. So as long as it captures on the bottom, you can go back to the top. So get the middle. And by pulling the string that just went down, it'll sink down the center slightly. You can pull it as tight as you want to. It also pulls up the bottom. Once you're happy with the shape of it, just secure it and tie it into a knot. And we're going to move on to doing the stem next. And I'll be right back. Let's move on and do the stem. And we are using another color. And we're going to chain 2 to start. 1 and 2, and let's begin our first round. Round number 1, you're going to go second chain from the hook. And you are going to apply 8 single crochets there. So we have 1, 2, and go right up over top of the straggler. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Once you have that done, you need to join it to the first. If you're not sure, count the tops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's right here. If you went over top of the straggler, you can just cut that to get out of your way, but it will be inside the stem anyway. And let's begin round number 2. Round number 2, we're going to chain 1 and just go into the back loops only. If you're not sure which one is the back loop, when you go into both of the strands, it equals a stitch. But if you go into just the one only on the back part, like furthest away from you, that is the back loop. So I would count it. So 1 and then back loop, 2, it's just 1 into each, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, oh, so 8 is finished. So if I'm not sure which one is the first one, count back the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we're going to go back to the 8th one here and slip stitch and just pop this out towards you, and that is the top of the stem. Let's begin round number 3. Round number 3, just chain up 1 and apply 1 single crochet in each of the stitches all the way around. You can count it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And once you have your 8 done, you're done. and you just slip stitch it to the beginning one. And what I need you to do is 3 more rounds of that exact same thing. So chain up 1 and 1 single in each, and do that for 3 more rounds, and I'll be right back. Okay, here's your last round. So I got my repeating done. Chain up 1, and you want to apply 1/2 double crochet into the first one, also a double crochet and another 1/2 double crochet, all in the same stitch. The next stitch out will be a slip stitch, and you're going to repeat that going around. So the next stitch will be a 1/2, a double, and a 1/2, and it's creating the scallop look, and you'll repeat that around, and you'll have 4 of those by the time you get all the way around. And don't forget to slip stitch after you get into the next one, and then restart again into the next stitch. We'll 1/2, double, and 1/2. I'll be right back. Okay, when you come all the way around, the slip stitch is the last one, and just join it with a slip stitch to the beginning where you started with. So leave this as a long tail, and we are going to sew this directly to the top of the pumpkin. So pull through, and let's get our pumpkin ready, and we're just going to sew it to the top. Put the long tail onto a tapestry needle, and you were just going to sink down into the top of the pumpkin and come back up through the stem. Like that, and just keep on positioning it and go down through the stem, through the pumpkin, and back up. And secure this all the way to the top of your pumpkin around. Once you're all the way around, just tie it into a quick little knot. This yarn is really easy to hide because of the texture. Tie it into a knot, and then just weave it through the stem to the other side, and then back through a different spot and back through to the other side, and you're good to go. So you'll be able to trim that right down, and therefore you've now just finished a little pumpkin like that. Pretty cute. And this is today's tutorial. Hope you enjoyed.